Hi, welcome back to Outdoors with Tim and Jayden. Last week I posted a video uh, about why you hunt, whether it's for the meat, it's for just killing any size buck with a rack and meat, or whether you're just one of them guys who just want a big rack. You only shoot a deer over 130, 140 inch deer. And it's all good. Whichever way you want to hunt, it's personal preference, whichever way works for you. But my videos are pretty much geared for the beginners, and hopefully some of the tips that I use. I've been deer hunting for over 50 years, and I've killed deer all but 4, and that's because I didn't hunt them 4 years. But I always kill deer. My first goal is to put meat in my freezer for my family, and then I worry about racks, and I have tons of racks over the years. I've been lucky enough to I've harvested 11 Pope and Youngs and 4 Boone and Crockett's. And my videos, I enjoy helping new hunters, somebody who's just getting into it. So what I want to do today, I'm up here to pull some Trailcam cards and maybe change out some batteries. And I'm going to take you along for the walk. And as a new hunter, you'll get an idea of what I look for, what I do, and hopefully it'll help you, give you some tips, some ideas. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of videos on YouTube, and majority of them are market-based, where they want to push this item or that item. I'm not pushing anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to show you what has worked for me for 50 years without getting into spending hundreds or thousands of dollars to get started. I want to try to help you get started as inexpensive as possible and still put you on harvesting a deer. So this video, and there'll be a couple more after this one, it'll cover some other stuff. Today we're just going to cover how I find the places to hunt, how I find the places to set up, and how I go about setting up at them. And hopefully it'll give you an idea for the property that you want to hunt. Now this piece of property here, this is public land. This is the mountain. This piece of property has bikers and hikers, horseback riders all year long. So these deer up here, they see humans, they smell human scent pretty much all year long. So this makes it a little easier because they're used to the human scent and they will hold up. I've seen bucks and does lay down 15, 20 yards off the trail and just watch you walk by because they've seen so many humans and stuff up here that they're really not bothered about it anymore. So that does make it a little easier. I mean, the first thing is you can look at like Onyx Hunt and some topo maps and stuff, and you can try to find some open areas that you think deer need a place to feed. And up here in the mountain, they're either feeding on the grassy areas that they can find, or they're feeding on acorns when they're coming down, leaves off of trees, stuff like that. So your first thing is to find a place that's gonna give them something to eat. And that's the most important thing, is to find in a feeding area. And then we'll go from there. So let's walk down here to the first camera and I'll explain to you what I set up and why I set it up the way I did. Now you can see, here's my first Trailcam on this trail. I don't use big name Trailcams. This one here is, I think it's Sun Track or Sun Cam or something like that. I bought 8 of these off of eBay. With shipping and everything, I have probably $15–16 a piece in these cameras. They are mini cameras. I have 2 or 3 different camos. I brought a pack of 8 and it come with 2 or 3 different camos. They use a mini card. They're mini cams, and they really take all the pictures you need. If you've watched any of the Trailcam videos on my channel, this is what we're using. This has done everything we need it to do. We see the deer, we see the racks on the deer, we know which way they're coming, we know which time they're coming, and that's all you really need. I don't run cell phone cameras, and I don't run high-dollar cameras because we are on public land, and these things tend to walk away. We lose 2 or 3 a year. Whether the hunters find them or hikers find them, whatever, but we lose 2 or 3 a year. And at that, you're out, you know, $40–60 at the most. You could lose one regular camera and be out way more than that. So this camera here is set up. This camera here is set up on the edge of a grassy field. And the trail coming into that grassy field is right here. Now, if you go back and watch some of the videos from the mountain, you'll see there's some really big deer coming into this field late in the evening, early in the morning. So this camera was set here first just so I could see what was coming into this field 24 hours a day, to give me an idea of what's up here on this spot. And it did that the very first time that I checked the Trailcam card. So after checking the Trailcam cards, I seen that majority of the deer are coming up the trail, the big trail here, out of the woods. Now the problem with this big trail is when you get down here, it sort of splits 3 ways. 2 of them go towards the road, and 1 of them goes deeper in the woods. So after the second time, when I come up here, I set another trail cam about 400 yards down in the road, or down in the woods, on the trail that's coming up out of the woods, because that's the trail that I think they are coming up. And I could be wrong, I've been wrong before, but that's the trail that I think they are coming up, and they're getting out here into this field. Some of them get out here at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, and they're usually leaving here by 7:30 in the morning. They're usually coming out of this field and headed back down the trail. So we'll get this trail camera card pulled, and then we'll walk down here to the next one, and I'll show you down there what I got. The trail cam's over there. We're out here about 15 yards from the trail cam. And what I like to do is I come out here and I find a bush with leaves on it and some grass, and I spray vanilla extract over it, because deer are very curious. and they like sweet stuff. So any deer that comes up here in the next couple days, as long as it don't rain, that vanilla extract will still be on the bushes, and they'll be eating the leaves off the bushes. And over time, they're going to get used to it. And the tree I'll be hunting, if I set the stand up, the tree stand would be right up there. The camera's over there, and I'm 15, 20 yards out for a deer shot. Now, like I said, I'm probably 15, 20 yards out when I spray that stuff. So like I said, I run cheap Trailcams. That way when they get stolen, I'm not out much. I hate that it happens, but it does happen. Some people have no respect for other people's property, and it's just one of them things that happen. All my Trailcams are set for video. I don't take pictures. I take 30-second videos. In the 30 seconds that deer's there, it gives me a time to see whether it's a buck or a doe, how many points it may have. Even if you're going back looking at the video, you can stop the video on your computer. You can blow that picture up more so you can get a better shot of just his rack, if that's what you're after. And by running video, you're gonna catch deer doing some shit that will just make you laugh. You will laugh your ass off at times for some of the stuff that they do. Now, so here's the trail that goes down into the mountain that these deer have been coming out. And if you look up here, you can see on these limbs where the leaves have been getting ate off. Eventually, as we get in here another week, 2 weeks, or whatever, more than likely there's going to be a buck scrape around this tree where they're using this as a licking branch to set their trail and let other deer know that they're in the area. Now, a lot of people use the scent ropes. I don't use scent ropes up here in the mountain because all that's doing is alerting another hunter that, hey, somebody's got this spot set up to hunt, and this might be where I need to set up. But if you come on down this trail, it comes in here. It's hard to see right now because the ground's dry, but if you come up here when it's wet, there's actually a trail that goes down through here. There's one that goes back this way, and then there's one that goes out that way, out through here. Now, if you come up here when it's not so dry, you can actually follow the leaves that's been turned over to take you to this trail. This trail goes out to the road, the other one goes out to the road, the other one goes back down here deeper in the woods. So let's get down to that camera and we'll look down there. So we're staying here. I'm staying here in front of the next camera. And you can see out through there. You can see what I can see from this camera. And right out there where them two trees split, out there in front of us, is where the trail comes down out of that field and goes back down into the woods. And I'm thinking that they're bedding back down in that woods. Because there's a lot of acorn trees and stuff back in there. So I'm thinking they're bedding back in there and working their way out here. I do have a couple trees here that I could set tree stands up in. A few years ago, I built a blind, ground blind back in there that I use for gun season sometimes. I can set in there and catch them coming up out of the bottom up into that ground blind. So let's get this card changed and we'll go to the next one. I thought I'd just walk down here and show you the ground blind that I put up. This thing's been here for 4 or 5 years. And I add to it when I come up here in the wintertime, muzzleloader season or gun season. I always pick a couple sticks up before I leave and add them to it. Don't fool with the sticks much in the summertime because there's a whole lot of rattlesnakes up here, and I don't like picking sticks up until I know exactly what's around it. But if you see, I can set in behind there. And once I get in behind it, I can make a 100-yard shot in most places with no problem. So my next trail cam is probably 1.5 miles down the road from where the last two was. And I actually found this spot last winter. About the second week of February, I was up here doing some late season squirrel hunting, and coming down the road, I happened to see a real big buck. At that time, I would guess he was 120-inch buck, and I seen him cross the road and run up into this trail. So I marked it, and when I set cameras up here this year, I set one up here to see if he's actually staying up around here or if he was just traveling through, which you never know up here. They move all over the place for the food in the winter whenever they can find it. So I set this camera up here, and camera up here has 2 stumps out in front of it, and I put deer cane on the stump. So if you go to the videos that say deer cane, you'll be able to see deer's been eating these stumps. The last time I checked cameras, I had deer that stayed here for over an hour eating on the stumps. And I didn't put nothing else with it. I just dumped dry deer cane out over the stumps, over the 2 stumps, and let's see what happens. I've had a nice buck on camera, but not the one that I seen last year. He's not big enough. So either he's not staying up here, he was just passing through, or he hasn't got into that pattern yet. I say deer have 3 patterns. They have a spring-summer pattern after they lost their horns, their antlers. They look for places that have lots of food and has easy access, because they don't like to get in that real thick stuff when they're growing their antlers. They like to be in an open place, places that are pretty open that they can still hide, but yet close to their food plots, wherever they're eating. And then around here, they start to lose their velvet, or as some of us say, take their gloves off. They start to do that in first part of September and the late September. And then they go into that pattern where they can be anywhere. If you have your rut coming in, by then the bucks have pretty much split up from their bachelor groups, and they're traveling all over the place. You know, some of them, I've seen things where people say they've had bucks travel 8-10 miles from where they seen them a day or 2 before. So, you know, September, October, November, December, even into last part of January, you'll still have bucks traveling, looking for that doe that's in heat. And so they could be anywhere during them couple months. And then along about first part of January or so, around here, they go into that winter pattern where they want thick cover so they can hide because there's no leaves on the trees anymore. They've been pushed around for 2 or 3 months by hunters. So they're looking for that place that has plenty of cover, places that they can bed down during the day and come out at night and feed. And then you may only see them, early in the morning, late at night. They might not even come out until after dark and be back in before it gets daylight again. And that'll travel on, clean up into March or April when they start to grow their horns again. So, and people, I've had some of them say, well, Tim, how do you find these places? Well, the best way to find it is boots on the ground. That's all I can tell you. You can look at OnX, you can look at maps, and the best way to find where a deer is bedding, where his home range is put boots on the ground. After a real hard rain, the ground's going to be soft. I use OnX Hunt. I use the trail marker, and I'll find a trail and just start walking. And if I find another trail that looks better, I'll walk that. While I'm walking them trails, if I find a place that has a lot of bedding areas, I mark it on OnX Hunt. If I find some places that looks like they've really been browsing on winter forage, I mark it on OnX Hunt. And then I'll come back out in spring of the year and move some cameras around and see if I can't see something decent on the cameras. If I set cameras for 2 or 3 months and nothing shows or nothing decent shows, I know that what I'm looking for is not hanging around there. Especially if you're in a place where it snows. We get a good snow about 24 hours after the snow stops. I'm going to be riding the mountain roads up here or down at the farm where I hunt. I'm going to be looking for trails crossing the road. And once I find a trail crossing the road, I'm going to look. You can pretty much tell which way the deer's been walking by the point of its hoofs. So you know which way he's traveling or she's traveling. And I'll stop and I may follow that trail for a quarter mile or more to see if it's just a place that they're going through or where they're going, or if it actually leads to a bedding area or feeding area, someplace that I'd want to set up and hunt. So let's go up here and check this camera. So here's the 2 stumps that the deer's been eating on. And you can see on the top where they've been chewing on it. You see how black it got from the mineral mix, the deer cane. And then I have a camera right there. And this is the one where the deer, I had like 530-second videos the last time I checked this camera from the deer here eating on these stumps for over an hour at a time. So the deer cane does work. And if you was wanting to bow hunt here, you get yourself up in the tree and they're gonna come in here and eat on these stumps. And they're just gonna stand here and eat. And if you're set up right, you have a broadside shot at 15, 20, 25 yards, whatever you want. And they'll be right here for you to shoot. Let's check this camera and go on to the next one. Now this trail, I squirrel hunt this a lot because it's quiet, the trail's clean, so you can you can do a slow stalk back through here. And this place is full of squirrels. Sometimes I don't go a quarter mile or so and I've already killed my limit of 6. And the normal route that I take is probably about 2.5 miles, and it comes out about a quarter mile down the road from where I park. And but the reason I set a camera back in here, 2 or 3 years ago, I was coming back here, a little snow on the ground. We had an early snow that year. It was like a couple days before before Halloween. We actually had an October snow, and I come up here to scout around and do some squirrel hunting before muzzleloader season come in. And I found a set of bear tracks that was bigger than my hand. It was a big bear. And so I marked it on my on-axis, marked as bear trail. And sometimes I set cameras up here, sometimes I don't. Like this year, I set a camera up here because once again, I was hoping to draw a bear tag. That didn't happen for the 8th year in a row now. So, but I have a big bear up here. I've had him on camera. He shows up 2 or 3 times a week. And at a rough guess, he's over 400 pounds. He's a big bear. But no bear tag for me, so unless somebody gets up here and gets lucky and finds him, hopefully he'll still be here next year. And I have a bunch of little bear. I have one little bear that shows up on the video for deer cane. That bear comes by almost every day. Most of the time he is running through the camera, so I only get like a split second of him going by. And sometimes he hangs out, he eats or walks around, and I get some video that I can post. And a couple times I'm hurting behind the camera. The one time he climbed up on the camera and knocked the camera over. So he's here, he's a little one. But where there's little ones, they're big ones. And there is one big one here that I know of. So let's get down here to this camera and get this card and stuff changed. And we'll see what's going on down this way. Another reason why I like them inexpensive cameras. Unless you're really looking, it's hard to see that camera back in there. That camera's 15 yards off of this trail. This trail here is I'm probably 200 or 300 yards off the bike trail. And that bear walks this trail 2 or 3 times a week. He comes back this trail 2 or 3 times a week, right in front of the camera, and goes on out that way. There's a pond down over the hill. Well, he's walking towards that pond. Up on the other side of that pond is a bunch of pine trees, and then you get into some real thick stuff where they clear cut it a couple years ago, and that's got a lot of briar bushes, berry bushes and stuff up in there. But I think that's his home. This is just his travel range. He's probably just making a big circle around, and I usually catch him coming through here in the morning, so I would imagine he's headed back to his home ground for the day. So let's change this camera and move on to the next one. Now this camera, I don't know if you can see it. Most people don't. Camera's set up there. It's probably 15 yards off this trail. This trail goes on out through the woods here and goes back to some real thick stuff back in there, about maybe 1/8 of a mile. But there's a real big real big shellbark tree back here that right off the trail, not too far, that I sit and I hunt. I've killed a lot of fox squirrels off that shellbark tree. And I can't tell you how many times I've been there squirrel hunting and had deer coming this way. Early in the morning, get them going back in the woods, or late in the evening, I get them coming out of this woods. So I decided to put a camera here just to see if there was anything decent showing up on this camera. And see if I need to hunt up this way for deer or not. Let's change this camera and go to the last one. Alright, so this is the deer rub. This is the first one I've seen this year. This is fresh. If you look down here at the ground, and if you can see it, got a lot of shavings off of it. So this is pretty fresh. This is the first one I've seen this year. So they're starting to rub. And let's see if we see any more on our travels. But this is the first one that I've seen. All the bucks that I've had on camera the last couple times, even the bucks that I seen Friday morning. Today's Sunday. Friday was our first day of deer season, and I seen 3 bucks Sunday, or 3 bucks Friday morning, and 2 bucks Saturday morning, and they was all still in velvet. So, but that was down on the farm. This is up here in the mountains, so I would imagine it's a little cooler up here, and they're starting to rub a little sooner up here than they are on down on the farmland. Let's go to the last camera. One thing, when you're out scouting public land, you always want to try to keep an eye out, see if there's other hunters actually hunting in the area that you're at. Orange tape like up ahead here means somebody's got a trail marked, or that's where they're going in to get to their stand. You see that. A lot of times you'll see the bright eye tacks where they have them going into their trail, so when they shine a little light on them, they can follow them into their trail. Look for trash. So many hunters have no respect for the woods, and you'll come up on places where there'll be candy wrappers or cake wrappers, soda bottles, soda cans, and I try to clean them up when I see them. But that's a sure sign that somebody's been hunting there. So if you're on public land, even private, you're walking the trail, scouting, and you see stuff like that, you know somebody's been here. Somebody's got a trail marked. Might have a tree stand up in there somewhere, and that's how they find out where they want to go in. So I look for stuff like that just to see if other people's been around. And we're on the way back to the last camera, and this is the furthest one I have off the road. This camera here is probably a quarter mile or more off the road, but we'll get back there and look around and show you what I got and why I set it there. So this is the last spot. Camera's up there, it's hard to see. This is where this is where the deer cane is. When I dumped this over this log here, this log was all one piece. And I just walked up here and dumped it out. You can see in the video me and Jayden putting it out. And they're just breaking this log apart, eating the deer cane, eating the minerals that it's drawn up out of the ground. Now deer, most of the deer are walking from up in there, and they're coming here, and then they're going on down into this bottom down here. And You can see on, if you go back to the deer cam video, I'll put a link to that up in the end of the video here. I'll put a link to that so you can click on it and watch that. They showed up here. They showed up here 24 hours after I dumped. Within 24 hours after I dumped it out, they showed up here and started eating on it. I've had black bear in here eating on it, and deer. I actually had a coyote come by here one time. So the deer cane does work. I don't hunt this spot. I actually have a ground blind 400 or 500 yards up the ridge that way, and I have a ground blind, I don't know, probably 700 or 800 yards down that way. And all this stuff down in here is private land. The public land stops right at the top of that hill. If you go down in there a little ways, you'll see the signs where the public land starts and or private land stops and the public land starts. So this has been a real good spot. I've hunted here over the years. I just wanted to dump that deer cane out so Jayden had an idea of what it does. So let's change this cameras and head back to the car. Just walking back out to the car, jumped a little 8-point. Now you can see it, he was bedded right here. He was bedded right in this spot right here. I was walking the trail up there, and I heard him blow. And when I looked, he was standing right here. And if the wind wouldn't have been blowing this way from the trail, he'd have probably just laid there and let me walk right on by him. So, I don't know if you can see it, if it shows up good on the camera, but that's a deer bed. And that's one thing you want to look for when you're walking these woods. Because you never know. You find that bed, that means he's bedded there once. There's a real good chance that's where he's bedded during the day. Because he can hear you coming from below. He can see you walking that trail. That trail's probably 50, 60 yards up there. And like I say, they see the bikers, they see the hikers all the time, and most of them's not even worried about them. So he just lay there and let you walk right on by him and never get up. So I'll mark this on X as a bed, and I'll keep an eye on it. I got some more cameras coming. I might move when the other cameras get here. I might move a camera up here, but it looked like a little 8-point, regular mountain deer, nothing huge. All right, let's head back for the car. You see here on the ground, the acorns. You see here on the ground that acorns are really falling here. Acorns, whatever you want to call them. It's covered right here. They're everywhere. So this would be a good spot to set because they're going to be coming here to feed. All right. Made it back to the car. A little warm. I want to thank y'all for watching. Hopefully y'all made it this far. Hopefully you learned something, or you picked up a tip or two that can help you out. We did see the 1/8-point. He was still in velvet. So that's not the one that rubbed on that tree. And a lot of squirrels. There's a lot of gray squirrels up here. A lot of deer sign. Just, it's been windy at times. Sometimes it's calm, and then you get 10-mile-an-hour winds coming through, and then it's calm again. One thing that I did want to share, Charlie asked me about it, is my vest. This is the turkey vest from Walmart. Has a pocket where you'd put your box call that is perfect for carrying a drink. It has zip pockets that I use for my keys and my wallet. I take them along with me. Has another zip pocket on this side that I use for clippers in case I gotta trim a limb off, and I use for new batteries. Over on this side, at the top, has a pocket that works great for the case for the Trailcam cards. Has another big pocket that I use for my squirrel call. I always carry one with me just to have fun. Has my vanilla extract that I carry along, that I spray at every tree stand. And then the other pocket has the old batteries, has my rangefinder, and my mini binoculars. So, and it has a game pouch on the back that you can carry 6 or 8 trail cams in there. So you're not having to carry a big backpack and all that weight going around. You know, I try to, because I'm old and I get out of breath when it gets warm and I walk a long ways. I know I have health problems, but I'm not stopping hunting just because I have health problems. If they find me dead up here in the mountain, I died happy, and that's all that matters. So, thank you for watching the video. I hope you made it to the end. I'll put a link up here for the deer cane that you can go back and watch out and see how they started on that. And then I'll put a link on the other side for the Trailcam footage, so you can go back and see the ones for this year so far. Like I say, I'm gonna do a couple videos of things that I do, like today with the Trailcam setups and why I do what I do. The next one I'm gonna do is probably gonna be camouflage and scent cover. So you can see what I do, so you don't have to tie up a couple $100 in stuff that you really don't need. You can get by without it and probably do a better job or just as good a job as spending a couple $100 on scent cover. So until then, hope y'all have a great weekend, what's left of it. Hope you have a great hunting season. And this one will come out on Tuesday, September the 9th, I think it is. The trail cams that I pulled today, that footage will come out next Sunday, whatever that'll be, 13th, 14th, whatever it is. Every Sunday there'll be a trail cam video, and I try to do 2 videos during the week to try to help people out. Or if Jayden and I is hunting, and then we'll have a hunting video or something comes out during the week. So usually Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays will be our release dates for videos. So I hope you had a good day. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.